Smash the dynasty, crumble the Hart Foundation, because a Major League podcast of their own returns, and there's only one stable you need this week. I am, of course, the Maniac Matt Tennant, and alongside me is the man some say is the Selena De La Renta of this show, but without the rack. TJ, my friend, how are you doing this week? And while we're at it, tell the rest of these normals where they can find you on the interwebs.
The Selena De La Renta of the show. I guess I'll take that. Why not? It works. She's a little bit better looking than me. Not much, but just a little bit. But you can find me at lawmans_ on Twitter, and that's the only place.
Oh dear. And you can find me, as per usual, on Twitter at The Perfect Tenant. Go to unionsmack.bigcartel.com where you can pick up an official t-shirt of all Travis's shows. And of course, completelynovel.com where you can purchase my first book, The Undertaker, A Trip Down Death Valley. Now, TJ, if we could do this.
I have to pick up that book. I have yet to do it yet.
Do you know what? Thank you to everyone as well who's given me like so many compliments on it. It took 1.5 years to get going because of various tragedies and things that happened in my life. But very proud of it. So yeah, do pick it up. It's a good. I shouldn't be saying that about my own book, should I? But,
it's a good read. You should buy it. It's good. Buy it.
Yeah, buy it. There you go. Okay, so before we dive headfirst into this week's review of the best of MLW 2019, I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about some news that we mentioned last week, but it was confirmed by MLW in the past few days. And that, of course, being, or regarding at least, the future of the company going forward into 2020. Now, in lieu of any brand episodes of MLW Fusion, thanks to this COVID-19 shit, a new limited series called MLW Anthology will begin on May the 16th. Now, we talked about this at the end of last week's episode, TJ, and I'll just run through the synopsis and then we'll get your thoughts on it. It's officially being described as, where is it? Yeah, it'll air on Be In Sports, but there's no word yet whether it will show on YouTube, and I hope it will. The official statement says it will focus on the biggest rivalries and title matches going all the way back to 2002. It will also feature supplemental content and rare behind-the-scenes footage with never-before-seen material thanks to the discovery of lost footage. Now, we were told this was originally meant to be scheduled for 2021, but obviously it's been brought forward to give them something, going into 2020. Do you think it's going to be enough, TJ, to keep MLW in the spotlight until they can tape more television shows?
Well, I guess it means, what do you mean by in the spotlight? I mean, they're already not in the spotlight because they are a lot smaller of a company, and I think for the most part, they are struggling to get by. But I think, over the past year, they have started to really get a following and show, what they can do. And, right when they're at that point of quote unquote breaking out, not breaking out in the sense that they're going to compete with any of the big wrestling companies, but at the point where they're breaking out and they're going to be bigger mainstream, people are going to know more of them. Long story short, I got a long-winded right there, but I think this will help them out because you'll see, stars that are in WWE, that are in AEW before they were there. And I know there's always a maybe nostalgia factor. I don't know if nostalgia is the right word to use right there, of fans that want to go back and see what these guys did before they were huge, before they were big. So I think
Right.
this will kind of scratch that itch, and I think it'll get more views on MLW. And those views, if they bring them in, will get more views on what MLW's done in the past year or two to keep people interested until they can get going again. That's kind of my. I rambled a little bit, but that's kind of my thought process on it.
Yeah, I can't disagree either, because obviously, as like a new set of eyes coming into this, all right, there's already a wealth of things for me to watch going back a few years that I haven't seen, pay-per-views, episodes of Fusion, etc. But now we've also got the opportunity and the chance to watch stars like CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, etc. You know, before they were even hot on the indies, if you like. So I'm very excited to be able to. I mean, I say be able to. Fingers crossed that it's going to be on YouTube, because you know they've just announced a new pay-per-view deal where they're going to take some of their shows and put them on. I can't remember where they're going. Help.
Um. Well, yeah, because we were initially going to do Battle Riot 2 for
Yes.
our review today, and it's been pulled from YouTube, and it's oh, let me pull up my phone because it's on DirecTV, the pay-per-view for DirecTV, which I think is like most U.S. cable providers are the
Right.
same pay-per-view.
Yeah. I mean, it's because the original statement said it would be on beIN Sports, but obviously we don't get that over here in the United Kingdom. So I'm hoping that this MLW anthology series, they do put it on YouTube. Otherwise, you know, they're doing a good portion of their audience out of, you know, seeing some really good and fresh content.
Well, yeah, and I mean, honestly, I don't know a cable provider over here that provides beIN Sports. I don't get beIN Sports. All my MLW is YouTube.
There you go.
Uh,
There you
I
go.
had never
So
even heard of I had never even heard of beIN Sports until I was watching the MLW YouTube, and it says it's on beIN Sports, and I tried to look it up, and it's like I don't know what the fuck beIN Sports is. I don't get that.
well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. So if anyone's listening from MLW, then have a word with your boss, because we need this on YouTube so we can watch it. You've got a new fan in me, so yeah, don't let the side down now. So now, as you alluded to, TJ, our plans changed this week twice. In fact, we were we were going to take a trip first off back to Saturday Night Superfight, but that wasn't on YouTube. And then we
Right.
decided to do Battle Riot 2. I actually managed to watch, and then as you went to watch it, they removed it on YouTube, so we couldn't do that either. So this
Right.
afternoon, before we before we got into the review, we made a judgment call, and hours ago decided that instead we would review the best of MLW 2019. And I have to say, it might be one of your best decisions ever.
MLW Fusion number 90. Yeah, I mean it was I mean if especially if you're a new MLW fan and you don't mind some stuff getting ruined for you over the past year, it's a good starting off point because I think they packaged everything very well for you to understand pretty much everything that's going on in the show.
Oh, they did. Um, they gave us two matches to sink our teeth into, which we'll get into in a minute. And they gave us like a wealth of highlight packages to say basically, like, if you've not been a fan or if you're tuning in, then this is this group, this is that feud, this is everything you need to know. And the rest you can probably work out if you tune in from episode 90 onwards. I thought it was a very well done episode.
It would give you I guess not enough to I get tongue tied. Um, it ruined some stuff for you, but it would make you. Well, I wonder why exactly this is going on. So you would want to go back and see why it's going on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you watched some stuff before this, like reviewed War Chamber last week. It did ruin what happened after War Chamber with the Von Erichs and Phil
Yeah.
Waller, etc. But I kind of didn't mind that because it felt like it might have been going like a month or 2 months. And for a new viewer, obviously, I might not have been that willing to sit through their weekly TV shows for that long for a payoff. If you get what I mean, like straight off.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it that way, but you're exactly right. I mean, because you were asking me about, why did the Von Erichs go over in Dallas? Uh,
Yeah.
do they have everything set up for it? And I was like, oh, just wait and see. That was the payoff that I didn't want to tell you about.
See, now it all makes perfect sense. So, MLW, the best of 2019, which was actually Fusion episode 90, if you want to look it up on YouTube. We began with, let me see if I can pronounce these names right, AJ Kirsch and Rich Boccini.
Fun fact that I've mentioned on this before, AJ Kirsch is the voice of Buzz on WWE 2K19.
Well, there you go. Do you know what I remember you mentioning this, but I think it passed me by because I haven't played it. So it was just like one of them facts that was, but I like facts like that. If you have any more, definitely keep them coming. So,
That's the only one I got.
well, don't blow your load straight away. Come on.
Well, you mentioned his name. What am I supposed to do?
Fine, I'll give you that. So, AJ Kirsch and Rich Boccini welcome us to the show, and they go into what 2019 was for MLW. They call it the biggest year for the company with the rise of Contra Unit, the arrival of the Von Erichs, etc. And this leads into a very nifty highlight package of the biggest moments of 2019. And this package gives us things like Tom Lawler beating Loki for the World Heavyweight Championship, Battle Riot 2, which was a good event, actually. I'll just put that out there. The Rise of the Dynasty, Fury Road, and Alexander Hammerstone winning. Was it the National Championship?
It's the International Openweight Championship.
There you go. That's why you're here. Fatu winning the World Heavyweight Championship at Kings of Colosseum, the War Chamber, and the return of the Opera Cup and Saturday Night Superfight. Now, question for you, my friend. Out of all the highlights we saw there, what would you say personally was the most important for MLW?
That's a stupid question, man. Everybody knows I'm a huge Hammerstone mark. So I'm gonna say Hammerstone winning the International Openweight Championship.
So that's what, like, historically, when people look back on 2019,
that's history. That is history right there, because that's the first major championship that Hammerstone has ever won, and he is going to go on to win many more major championships. And people are going to go, "What's the first major championship he's won?" There it is. Boom. I'm dropping the mic.
He's dropping the mic and walking off. Fine, I will accept that. I will accept that as an answer. I thought you were going to go for like Saturday Night Superfight being the first live pay-per-view, but
that one was cool too.
I think I forgot for a moment like how big a Hammerstone fan you were.
Oh, I'm a total Hammerstone mark.
He is actually. So the first match we were given was Davey Boy Smith Jr. versus Timothy Thatcher, and I believe they said this was Timothy Thatcher's MLW debut.
Yes, it was. I think he'd been teased a little while before, and yeah, this was his first match. And you know what? Overall, I think it was a good match. It was a technical match. I had fun with it.
I mean, before we get into the match, has Timothy Thatcher done much more in MLW after this? Because I don't remember hearing about it. Because I've seen a lot of Timothy Thatcher over in WXW and Progress Wrestling over here in the United Kingdom, and he's big with Ring Camp with Walter, and he's a great wrestler. And he's now in NXT with Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle, which I'm thrilled about, obviously, because everyone knows that I'm a massive Pete Dunne fan, just like you're a massive Alexander Hammerstone fan. But it's like I didn't
fantasy booking right there. Hammerstone versus Pete Dunne.
We all know who'd win, and I have to apologise, TJ, because it wouldn't be your man. But yeah, I wasn't aware that Timothy Thatcher wrestled for MLW. So did he do more for them after this, or was this really one of a few special appearances?
I was it's funny because when I was rewatching this, I was like, what else has he done? But this is my first foray into Timothy Thatcher. I'd never heard of him before this.
Okay.
I want to say that he has done more. I know he has done more. I believe he fought Tom Lawler at Saturday Night Superfight. I could be wrong, but that's what I want to say going off the top of my head. And I do remember him at the Dallas show that I was at, the War Chamber show.
Okay. I'll have to look that up because I definitely want to see more Timothy Thatcher in MLW. But, honestly, if you've not seen him outside of MLW or obviously NXT now, definitely look up his battles against and alongside Walter in WXW, and anything he's done in Progress. He is a superbly talented individual. Question: was it just me, or did you notice? And I'm not sure whether he did or not, but did Davey Boy Smith Jr. have false eyelashes on? Because that's the first thing that struck me when they zoomed in on his face. It's like he's definitely wearing fake eyelashes.
Dude, I did not notice that, but I have it playing right now, and I'm going to rewind just so I can see if he does have fake eyelashes.
But right at the beginning, when he's sort of crouched down in the corner before the bell rings, and it's like he blinks, and it's like his lashes are definitely more voluminous. Why am I doing this on a show?
They're fuller.
I now realise I should have said this to you off air.
Maybe he's born with it.
Oh God! So
I'm almost at the beginning of the match,
and we're on air as well. Brilliant. So while you're looking at that, this was a very nice back and forth technical encounter. Like the beginning with the counters and the reversals, etc., was very nice. Timothy Thatcher worked on the leg of Davey Boy. Lovely half crab, kicks, heel hooks, everything you could want. It all looked very good, and it added to this being a technical piece of work. What did you think of the way Thatcher and Davey Boy went about telling a technical story?
I enjoyed it. The way that I thought about it when I was rewatching it and having a smoke afterward was that it's not gonna be everybody's cup of tea having a very technical back and forth match like that. But in the same way, it's like how if I were to watch an MMA match and everybody wants to see everybody brawl, but I can appreciate a good grappling match. Yeah. It kind of brought me to the same mind spec as this. I can enjoy a good technical match.
And I was not shocked, but I haven't seen as much of Davey Boy Jr. as I have of his father. Obviously, I grew up a immensely massive British Bulldog fan, so the Bulldog's career is storied in my memory. But I was pleased to see that. I'm not going to say he's better at it than his father, but he's certainly on par, because Davey Boy Smith had some cracking technical matches with Bret Hart and Owen Hart, especially that first match for the European Championship. And I like that the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree in a way, and I definitely want Davey Boy to go further, maybe even further than his father did, and attain a World Heavyweight Championship for a major promotion.
Well, what's Davy Boy Senior's training like? I mean, how long was he training with the Hearts up in Calgary?
Oh, he trained in England before that, and he was on World of Sport over here for a few years, and then he got signed to Stampede Wrestling, and then went and trained with Stu and the rest of them in the dungeon, etc.
And
So it's
I
like,
think I think that's the difference that you see is that you know, Davy Boy Smith Jr. He's been training with the Hearts his entire life,
yeah,
and getting that really technical background.
and it shows as well. So I was very, very impressed. He wasn't on the War Chamber event that we reviewed last week, so this is my first, you know, exposure to him in MLW, and I don't know whether all his performances are like this. I'm assuming not, but I like the fact that he's shown so far that he can take a technical magician like Timothy Thatcher and adapt to his pace and his level and his style.
I mean, for I've watched, he's been very good at going with the technical, and then also going with him just being a huge brute and being able to mix match it.
Nice. And I definitely need to see more Davey Boy because I'll obviously be a massive fan of him because of who his father was. Now, to get into the rest of this match, there were some really good reversals, TJ. It's like Thatcher reversed a cross arm breaker into an ankle lock. Davey Boy reversed the ankle lock into the ankle lock grapevine, I should say, into the sharpshooter. Didn't get anywhere with that though. Thatcher got straight in to the ropes. The spot I didn't like, and I don't like in any match, I don't care who does it, whether it's the Bulldog, whether it's Pete Dunne, etc. Like the spot where they punch or slap each other and then wait for the receipt to come back.
I I don't mind that because I think it's kind of like a you know, I'm tougher than you, I can take more than you. I get where you're coming from, and a lot of people not liking that, but for me, it's like they're trying to show off.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's me being British. It's just like if you hit someone, you don't wait for them to come back with a punch. You know, you lay into them, just get it done.
It's a total British thing.
That's it. Especially after a few beers, it's just like I'm not giving you a chance. Kick. But yeah, there was a lovely near fall on the rolling bridge by Davy Boy. German suplexes, they were traded back and forth, back and forth. It did lose pace noticeably towards the end, but I don't think it lost any quality.
No, I don't think so either. And I mean, this match was like what, like a 15-minute match of them doing nothing but technical stuff. And I think it was Bocchini and Shivani were the announcers for it, and they kept saying throughout the entire thing that, you know, a match like this takes a lot of cardio, takes a lot of endurance, more so than a match where you're, you know, hitting each other with slams and everything. So maybe their
Yeah,
cardio did start to run out a little bit towards the end there, but it didn't take away from the match at all.
no, it didn't. It was a very, very good match, and pardon me, Davy Boy countered an arm lock into a power bomb and then applied the cross face for the submission victory. I thought that Thatcher tapped out a little too soon. I'd have liked to have seen him fight it, but he's so good. I don't think I've ever seen a Timothy Thatcher match that I wasn't impressed with. And not, if you've got time and you can find it anywhere on the internet, then do check out Timothy Thatcher versus David Starr. I think it's Over the Top Wrestling in Ireland. It's just great stuff. And this was a great match, TJ, to open the show. And I was surprised because I thought they'd open this with like maybe a great pay-per-view match and keep us rolling on that down that road, but they just plucked a random good match from Fusion, and it kicked off the show really, really well and put me in a good mood, which is rare for a review.
Well, that's good. So I guess so far compared to what we saw last week, this one's better than what we saw last week.
Oh, much definitely. Like I much prefer this to the, who was it? Leo Bryan, I think. 1 minute 30 squash.
Leo Bryan and Guy. I just know Leo Bryan because I'm looking at a notebook that's got his name written right there.
Leo Bryan and a nameless guy who we don't know.
Some dude.
So next, some dude. That's the. I think we should call every jobber that now. Just him versus
some dude.
we were now given a highlight package of Contra Unit decimating Filthy Tom Lawler and the Von Erichs, and then them two joining the fight. Friendship went sour, etc. We didn't. The highlight package, switched to Jacob Fatu versus Ross Von Erich, and then Tom Lawler turning on the Von Erichs. I liked this. I mean, yeah, it was spoiled, but like I said at the top of the hour, it's. I wasn't necessarily willing to sit through 5-10 episodes of Fusion to get this payoff. Not
Right.
knowing the amount of quality or lack of maybe that there was on the show. So to be given a payoff to what we reviewed last week, which was my first MLW show, I liked it. I liked how it was done, and I liked the brawl through the gas station and into the subway where Lawler escaped in a subway carriage.
And if you noticed, because they replayed a little bit of War Games or War Chamber, after they won, you could see Tom Lawler was not happy. I wonder if that's where the seeds started for him to turn.
Do you know what? I think they did. I think they tried to make it out to be when Ross got the world title shot against Jacob Fatu, but you could clearly see after War Chamber that there was something brewing there.
Which I remember seeing that live, and it was like, wonder why he's not happy, and then it all kind of paid off.
Yeah, it did. How long, for the uninitiated fan like me, how long, not War Games, sorry, War Chamber and Lawler turning on the Von Erichs?
Oh, shit.
Did I put you on the spot then? Sorry.
Yeah, a little bit, when did he turn? I'm trying to think of when he turned. It had to be at least 3 or 4 months.
Wow. So now knowing that, it's like I'm extra glad that this was our second show we reviewed, because what's that? 4, 8. That's like almost 16 episodes of Fusion I might have had to sit through to get to this payoff.
And I could be completely wrong. It might have been the next week. But I'm trying to remember back. Yeah, look, it might have only been a month. Shit, I don't remember.
Let's just say a decent amount of time had passed between the two.
I just remembered that that match was in September of last year. I went to a match in January of this year, and they were already deep into their feud.
Okay, so maybe not like 4 months, maybe 2 months.
Maybe not.
But it seemed from this highlight package like, it was a well done feud and wasn't just pulled off on the spur of the moment.
Oh no, it was pretty natural the way it came about. I mean, you could kind of see throughout Tom getting a little bit pissier, a little bit more, I don't know, I don't want to say jealous, but maybe jealous. And then that whole turn with Fatu.
Because it can't be just me, but Tom Lawler has a face that screams heel to me. It's like, I watched him at Battle Riot 2 against Jimmy Havoc. I've seen him at War Chamber and, bits and bobs here. He's got a naturally heel face. I don't buy him as a baby face at all.
See, I like him as a baby face a lot, but he is a natural heel, and he needs to be a heel.
And you know what? To my mind, after seeing what we've seen, like, who better to turn him on than the Von Erichs to get that over?
Oh, they're the ultimate baby face. So, yeah, take this dude who looks naturally heel and have him turn on the ultimate baby face. I completely agree with that.
Me too. Next up, we had a vignette for someone called Gino Medina. Fill in the gaps for me, TJ.
Gino Medina, he is... I'm trying to think. I think he might have... Did he fight Thatcher in Dallas? No. But I know Gino Medina joins Tom Lawler's Team Filthy.
Okay.
I remember him in Dallas at that first show because I remember a dude in a gi, but I don't remember who he fought. That's the best I can do for you with Gino Medina.
That's more than I needed. I'm assuming we'll see him on some future shows.
Yeah, I mean he joins Filthy Tom Lawler. He becomes part of his group.
Ah, there you go. Next we hear Next we hear about the Dynasty's year, which is followed by another nice highlight video of them winning the tag team championships, Hammerstone winning his championship, and then their feud with the Von Erichs. Would it be fair to say, judging by this video package, that the Dynasty had a better year in MLW than the Contra unit, or did it all go to shit?
And hold on a second, because I am completely rechecking myself about Gino Medina. And I was completely wrong about everything that I just said.
Okay.
Gino joins the Dynasty.
Ah.
There was another guy that joined Filthy Tom's group at around that same time. No, but Gino is Dynasty. I'm sorry, Gino Medina. We've interviewed the Dynasty. We've interviewed Richard Holiday and Alexander Hammerstone. And if we interview you, I will gladly let you punch me in the face for screwing this up. I apologize.
Cue a lot of groveling. So
I'm already groveling and like son of a bitch, TJ. How did you fuck that up?
I'm sure Travis is listening to this, just shaking his head, just like, oh, what
he is. He is, because we've talked about him so much, and I got names mixed up. He's sitting there like, that motherfucker, what the hell is wrong with him?
I don't doubt it either. So, the Dynasty, would you have said that better year than the Contra unit in 2019, or a different year than the Contra unit?
Year. Much better year, because they got Gino Medina.
And I'm assuming by that statement that Gino Medina is very good in the ring.
He is good, but no, overall, I think, yeah, the Dynasty had the better year. The Contra unit, they came in there, they bullied everybody around. Technically, they weren't part of MLW. Even after Jacob Fatu took the belt from Lawler, they were never like contracted to MLW, quote unquote, you know. But the Dynasty, you know, they won the tag team championships. Hammerstone was the first open weight champion. I guess things towards the end started to get bad for the Dynasty, but at the same time, the Contra unit just kind of maintained the status quo that they had already started. So I'm gonna give it to Dynasty.
Okay, doke, fair enough. Now we were now taken to back to the hosts, announcers, interviewers, whatever people prefer to call them. They ran us through a couple of title changes that had happened in 2019, and then they told us that we're about to see the top 10 craziest moments from the year. Now, some of them are self-explanatory. Some of them I'm going to not quiz you on, but get you to fill out for us a tiny bit. So at number 10, the top 10 craziest moment in MLW in 2019 was Spider Lady attacks Zayda Zhang. Now, Spider Lady was unveiled to be Priscilla Kelly, if I'm right. Now, is she the filthy tramp who took a bloody tampon from her vagina and put it in someone's mouth on an indie show?
That is her. Yes.
Classy. Um, is she? I mean, I've seen like a few bits and bobs of her. Not really that impressed. Is she anything to shout about on a bigger stage?
I really haven't seen that much from her either. And prior to this, MLW was kind of touting that they were, really building a women's division.
Yeah.
But other than this right here and maybe one other thing, I really haven't seen anything of it. And I think since then, Priscilla Kelly may have gone to AEW. I'm not completely sure. I know she's Darby Allin's girlfriend.
Wow. Well, AEW can keep her. Number 9 was the brawl between Ross Von Erich and Filthy Tom Lawler through New York. We've covered that. 8 was Contra Units take out the Lucha Brothers. I'm assuming this was a feud and they didn't just decide to target Pentagon and Phoenix.
Well, at that time, the Contra unit was kind of taking out everybody. This was more of a say goodbye to the Lucha Brothers because they're AEW. This is how they got rid of them in MLW. Not got rid of them, but their face is on fire. They can't compete anymore, but they're in AEW now.
Gotcha. Now, number 7, Mance Warner raising hell on Promoción Dorado. That is Selena De La Renta's group, I believe.
Yes.
See, I'm learning.
This one actually has a fun backstory going way back. Well, not way back, but it was when Mance Warner first got to MLW. He's a beer drinker, big time beer drinker. He was drinking backstage with somebody, and he accidentally bumped into Selena De La Renta and spilled beer on her. Okay. And so that's how the whole feud between him and Selena's group started.
Nice. And who wouldn't want to spill beer on her? I mean, wet t-shirt, anyone? What is it about Mance Warner that you like so much? Because obviously I've not seen him in a proper match. He was in the Battle Riot match, but you didn't really get like a proper look at him. So sell Mance Warner to me, TJ.
I don't know. He's just he's fun. He kind of reminds you of a Stone Cold Steve Austin type of character. He drinks beer. He comes out there to kick ass, but you would think that by what I just said, he is a Stone Cold clone, but he's got his own shtick about him. He's got his own mannerisms. He's got his own way. His promos that he cuts, they're so funny. They're so good. It's like he doesn't take himself as seriously as maybe Stone Cold would in his promos. I gotta find you a good Mance Warner promo to show you.
You definitely do. You definitely do. At number 6, Jacob Fatu's cage dive. I believe this was on to Tom Lawler, but I don't believe it said when or where.
That was after Tom Lawler beat Low Key in a steel cage match.
Ah, there you go. Simple. I should have researched that, shouldn't I? But that's why I've got you here, because you know so much more than me about this.
You know,
Number
you're surprising me. You're surprising me when you ask me stuff that I know what I'm talking about. Except for Gino Medina, son of a bitch.
But you did write yourself on that, so I think we can look over the fact that you got it completely wrong. Number 5 was Tom Lawler betraying the Von Erichs. We've covered that. 4. Oh, now number 4 was Jimmy Havoc and Mance Warner's feud, and by the clips that they showed, this was a wholly hardcore feud. Now, I don't rate Jimmy Havoc at all. I know he's British. I've seen a lot of him in Progress Wrestling, in other promotions, indie promotions in and around the UK for years. I don't believe this man has a shred of talent in him whatsoever. He looks like a walking advertisement for hepatitis.
How the hell can I follow that up?
Sorry.
I mean, I have seen a little bit of talent from him, but he is mostly a hardcore guy. And I guess you could maybe say that for a guy like Mance Warner, who is mostly a hardcore guy, but you could see talent there. This feud was basically Jimmy Havoc was working with Selena De La Renta and kind of like her right hand for whatever reason or not. I don't think we got explained for her to go after Mance Warner, and that's why they had their feud. But I know what you're saying. He doesn't look like a wrestler. He doesn't look like somebody who can carry a match.
Yeah, he does. For me, when your main attraction is plunging a stapler into someone's head, which he's done countless times throughout his career, it's like you've sort of lost my respect a little bit because, you've not shown me anything to
Well, then
think of.
I guess this kind of goes into a far-reaching further discussion as why did AEW sign him if that's all he can do? Apparently, I guess you can't really rationalize any of their signings per se, but this one, if they saw something in him, maybe there is something. I don't know.
I mean, I've not watched any AEW since the TV show began. So I can't sit here and say it's like, oh, he's just gone and done the same in AEW. He might not have. He might have, given some great matches in AEW for all I know. But from like what I've seen of him over here in the UK for years, and then obviously I saw him battle Tom Lawler at Battle Riot 2, and it's just like I don't see any discernible evolution in his arsenal or in anything that he does.
No, and I agree. I agree. All his matches for MLW have been nothing but, hardcore death matches. I think he had one match with Teddy Hart where it wasn't, and it was actually a pretty decent match. I don't remember when that happened. He's the type of guy I can see something in him that could be good, but whether or not he wants to do that. And that maybe is also the same with Mance Warner. I can personally see something in him that could be a great wrestler, but does he want to progress more than just the hardcore wrestler? And that's coming from me, a professional fan who knows everything there is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think it's got something to do with the comfort zone as well.
I'm an expert at this. Call me the Brian Alvarez of the MLW show.
Everyone's heard that over the last 2 episodes we've done. I think like the Jimmy Havoc and Mance Warner argument, I think it also comes down to comfort zone as well. Jimmy Havoc's built an entire career. I'm not going to say legacy. I'm not going to do him, that much justice. Right. But he's built an entire career on hardcore wrestling. So maybe in his mind, it's a bit like, if I change it up, if I switch to normal wrestling for the rest of my career, people might think less of me for doing so, and I might not be as popular or well known for doing something different.
And I know, I guess I can see what you're saying, but at the same time, maybe it's a not a fair compare. Maybe it's not a fair
He'll
comparison,
get it. Yeah.
but a guy like Mick Foley was able to do that. Like I said, that's fair, but Mick Foley grew up nothing but hardcore and showed that he could actually wrestle and then do hardcore.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't think Jimmy Havoc could ever be put in the same category as Mick Foley.
I don't either. I don't either at all. That was the only one I could think of at the time.
Can you imagine just like Mick Foley, Jimmy Havoc? No. So at number 3 was War Chamber. If you want to hear our thoughts on that, then go back and watch the show last week. It's a great listen. Number 2 was Fatu wins the World Heavyweight Championship from Filthy Tom Lawler. Now, I don't want to speak too much on this because I think Kings of Colosseum, if it's still up next week, is where we're going to go next, TJ. I fancy like a proper MLW pay-per-view.
I am going to look it up on YouTube right now and see if
Yeah.
it's still available.
Promise anyone anything and have to change the show again twice.
Yeah, exactly.
There first.
But I think that would be a good one. I'm trying to remember everything that happened in it, but it would be a good one for me to rewatch, definitely.
Yeah, and obviously it's like anything with Jacob Fatu in now is a plus for me, because I'll say a bit more about him when we get into the main event in a few minutes, but he's just an absolute star.
Oh, I'm sorry. I completely agree with that. And to think that he's even still with MLW at this point, especially with his lineage.
Yeah. I mean, a part of me is thankful that he is, because obviously WWE have a shit track record, of bringing people in and then on the main roster making them massive stars, which Jacob Fatu could be. He'd obviously be something major in NXT, but after that, I would dread what they might do to him on the main roster.
Well, there's a couple of people on the MLW roster that I feel that way about. Jacob Fatu, obviously Hammerstone, Holiday, Pillman Jr., Tom Lawler. I'd hate, as awesome as it would be to see them in WWE or AEW, I would hate to see them there because I would never see them again.
Yeah. I felt exactly the same about Pete Dunne. Like, after he was, clearly outgrown NXT UK, it was clear where he was going, and it's obviously clear he's going to go to the main roster at some point in the next 2 or 3 years. And it's just like, I don't want him to go. It's like, I don't want him to go. Didn't want him to go to America because obviously we'd lose him on the British Indies, but it was best for him, obviously, and his family, etc. But I can't imagine Pete Dunne on the main roster just because of what they could and probably will do to him.
And some of these guys like in MLW now, I don't think you'll see them, even if they get offered WWE contracts early on. I don't know if they would even take them. A lot of people, we may have talked about this a little bit last week. I think we talked about this before we went on last week, about a lot of these guys are taking the more AJ Styles route. They're gonna earn all their cred. They're gonna become big stars on the indie scenes and the smaller crowds, and then once they get close to retirement type of time, they'll take that big WWE contract and just make the money.
And if they do that, they might also be in a better place to succeed in WWE rather than take the contract early have to go through the development system, even though they clearly know what they're doing already, work their way up through NXT, etc., and then take a 95% gamble that they will be wasted. I think build your name, build your stock, your brand, your legacy, whatever you want on the indies. Make your name known. Do everything you can to get yourself out there, and then, when you've got 2 or 3 years left on you, then go to WWE and say, look, you can use the main roster in a high-profile role.
That's exactly right. And I mean, I guess everybody wants to get that big WWE AEW contract to make a lot of money and be comfortable. But at the same time, if you're making the money you're making now and you're living good and you're happy, keep doing what you're doing, man, and then make that money, then make that retirement money.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We got to the end of this top 10 craziest moments with number 1, which was Contra Unit's Fireball and Selena De La Renta speared through a table. Now, we're going to talk about this in a bit more length at the minute. What did you think of the top 10 countdown? Was there anything on there that you think didn't belong there, or anything that you thought should have been included instead?
No, well, I think it pretty much encompassed it pretty well. There was nothing that I wholly misagreed with right there.
Excellent. Next up, we were shown Tom Lawler working out. I thought he was going to break into just like a subscribe to MLW.com sort of thing, because that seemed to be where it was going. He was doing, I don't know, what was it, pull-ups or something on the machine, and then he just stopped to say, sign up with Team Filthy. And that was it. It felt like an advert to me rather than a vignette / promo.
I didn't know where they were going with that at first. And then, just, hey, join Team Filthy. It's like, it says, like, you have a phone number? Can I join Team Filthy? Who do I got to call?
That's it. It was a very weird thing to include on here, I thought. What wasn't was the following highlight package before the main event of Contra Unit's rise, and it made them look like unbeatable savages. I thought this was so well done. It got them over so well, and specifically Jacob Fatu. But if you didn't know who Contra Unit were before this episode, then you certainly knew they were a massive deal after it.
Well, yeah, that's another one of those good vignettes that we were talking about earlier that really shows you everything that's going on with MLW and who Contra Unit is and just how much destruction they've caused since they've come into MLW.
Yeah, and these highlight packages were done so well. They weren't too long, which was to their credit, but they were not short enough to not make you care, if you see what I mean. If you just tuned into MLW, on the off chance, if you'd been flicking through for something to watch and you thought, oh, there's some wrestling here, I've never heard of it. You tuned in, you somehow landed on, these highlight packages. The first thing you see, they'd be like, actually, this group looks good. I might watch more of them.
And I think that's one of the big pluses that MLW has is that they package that stuff so well. I mean, that's not to say that their usual content isn't good, but you can tune into any MLW show and get caught up pretty much instantly just by how good their packages are. That sounded gross.
They've got lovely, lovely packages.
they've got great packages, let me tell you.
But in all seriousness, they really, really do. Now that TJ brought us to the main event. Now, Jacob Fatu versus LA Park for the MLW World Heavyweight Championship. When LA Park cashed in his golden ticket at War Chamber, I
Wait,
thought
you don't have any shit to talk about it being a golden ticket?
I think that ship sailed last week, didn't it?
Just see if you had more to say.
I don't have more to say. I think it looked cheap still, but I'm willing to overlook that because the match was so good. When he cashed it in at War Chamber, I thought this was going to be like a 10-minute television match where Fatu dominated and just get LA Park out the way. Because to look at LA Park, and we touched upon this last week, he doesn't look like a star anymore. He looks like an old WCW, wrestler who has somehow kept himself in the limelight, put on a lot of weight, and now he's just wrestling on borrowed time. I did not expect to see what we would see here out of LA Park.
Oh no, I mean, honestly, both these guys are like big, huge guys. You expect to see that from either of them? I mean, they were. This match was insane.
I suppose I did expect to see it out of Jacob Fatu from what I've seen, like in War Chamber, what I saw at Battle Riot and in these highlight packages so far, but maybe not to the extent. So let's start from the beginning. This occurred as the main event of Saturday Night Superfight, MLW's first live pay-per-view. MLW. See, fucked up. I almost got through it all without fucking up. I was doing so well. Never mind. LA Park won the 2019 Battle Riot match. Got himself the golden ticket. The golden ticket allowed him to cash in for a World Heavyweight Championship match at any time of his choosing. And at War Chamber, he chose to battle Jacob Fatu for the title at Saturday Night Superfight. Did I do a good job of recapping that?
Yes, you did.
Get in there. So, first thing I noticed about this is Selena De La Renta looks out of this world. Like, holy shit. And I know we touched on this last week and probably spent too long touching on Selena. Probably sounds wrong, but she looked amazing here. Like, wow.
She did. Let's move on. You're getting creepy now, Matt.
Oh, it's been 2 months since I've been out in this lockdown. Cut me some slack, will it?
Hey, you got MLW to watch, so you got a lot of Selena De La Renta.
That is true. So before the match, LA Park gets on the microphone, says something in Mexican. Could have been anything, TJ. I don't speak the language.
I don't either. I don't know what he said.
Well, there you go. Out of the gate, they trade German suplexes. Joseph Samael attacks LA Park on the outside. And, I mean, I'll be honest. Because this was like the beginning of the match, they'd already traded Germans. They'd ended up on the outside. Samael then attacked LA Park. I didn't get a whole lot of story from this opening few minutes. It was just an all-out brawl to start with. And I know it would, deepen in meaning going on. But were you like me? Were you like, where's the story? Or were you just like, this is going to be a fucking good brawl?
Well, I was more like, this is going to be a fucking good brawl. Because there was not much story to start this off with. There was not much story for why they were fighting other than LA Park cashing in the golden ticket. So it was kind of like, I don't need a background to why they don't like each other. They're just fighting for the championship.
Yeah, you see, I assume that there'd be like a few weeks of build and story, etc., to this, but doesn't
not
sound
that
like...
I can remember. They might have, but not that I can really remember.
Well, if they didn't, then that's fair enough as to why there wasn't a lot of story in the beginning. But that would actually change because Samael, he uses the spike to attack LA Park behind the referee's back, which didn't make sense, by the way. This is anything goes. Why do it behind the referee's back?
I hate when they do that in wrestling. When it's an anything goes match, it's no DQ, and they wait for the referee to be distracted. It's like, just do whatever you want, dude. It's no DQ.
Looks shit, doesn't it? But what looked worse was Selena De La Renta distracting the referee while it happened. It's like your man's there getting the spike driven through his mask. He's pouring with blood, and you're still arguing with the referee, so he can't not stop it, but maybe wrestle Joseph Samael away.
Well, I guess she's not the smartest person in the world. I don't know. I don't know what was going through her head. She was still thinking of me when I saw her in Dallas that time.
But when you look like you don't need a lot of brains, I think that's the best excuse I can come up with for her. So Samael uses the spike. LA Park's mask ripped now. You can see his hair. You can see the top of his face to under his nose, and it looks horrific. I'll be honest. Like the way he was bleeding profusely, and then just sort of the skeleton mouth, if you like. And obviously he had the dark paint on underneath. It looked like something out of a horror movie.
It really did.
It did, didn't it? It's like he looked like he'd been taken to by Freddy Krueger. But it lent the match a deeper meaning for me.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it. At that point, I was like, okay, I'm watching something pretty fucking cool right here. Yeah. They are. Oh, it's like I don't even know how to describe it, but it was like, this is awesome. This is really fucking cool.
And it was awesome, and it was really, really cool because I thought that was probably going to be it. You know, like this old fat man is now bleeding. You've got this young, rampant, savage challenger who's just beating on him. And I thought it's probably going to go another 5 minutes. You know, he's probably going to roll him in, hit the finisher, and done. And if he had have done, then, you know, credit to La Park for taking the spike and the blood, etc. But he didn't, because he came back with quick power slam. Fatu hit a super kick, that lovely handstand moonsault that I love to see him do. And then Park, out of nowhere, and I didn't see this coming, TJ, springboard twisting senton like he was in 1997 again.
And you were asking me last week, who the hell is this fat guy with the skeleton outfit on?
Yeah.
Here's the fat guy with the skeleton outfit on.
Yeah. I totally didn't see it. It's like I because you told me last week he was La Parker from WCW. Am I correct?
Yeah, he was the original one. Yes.
Now I like seeing him deteriorate body wise over the years. It's like I never thought he had this in him still. I remember he used to maybe fly around now and again in WCW. But obviously his gimmick was the chair stuff. But this, it came out of left field. It's like when he ran up the ropes, I thought, no fucking way is he going to get himself like over in the air anymore.
But I guess once you have that, I mean, you can pull it out of your ass every now and then for a big moment. And this match with Jacob Fatu was going to be a big moment for him, you know?
Yeah, maybe the last big moment of his career, because he can't have long left on it.
I can't see that.
Me either. Can I say, after he hit the senton, crowd went absolutely ballistic. They were fantastic throughout this whole match.
That crowd was electric the entire time.
They were, and they helped make this match. Actually, you know, I've been part of some crowds that just help make pay-per-views. You know, all the NXT UK pay-per-views, been to them all. The crowds have been absolutely fantastic for all of them. But some crowds for TV tapings, etc., kill matches and kill shows. This crowd absolutely made this match even better than it already was. So credit to them for that.
Oh,
I was
100%.
shocked, TJ, to see LA Park take time to use a steel chair. It's like, if that's been your gimmick and you're well associated with that, go what brought you to the dance sooner. You know.
Uh, I'm sorry. Say that again.
I was shocked to see LA Park take as much time as he did to get into using the steel chairs. If that's been your gimmick for years and you're well associated with it, I thought it would have made more sense to sort of go with what brought you to the dance straight out the gate rather than wait 10 minutes to get your hands on it.
Oh yeah, I don't know why it took him so long to do that. I mean, it's not like there's not steel chairs all around where he's at and
Exactly.
under the ring and everything.
Imagine, and this isn't a criticism of the match because it was a very good match. Everything they did was tense and dramatic. But for me, if he'd have come out the gate, bell rung, and he'd have just waffled Jacob Fatu with several chair shots, imagine how much more that would have riled the crowd than trading German suplexes.
Yeah, I can see that, but at the same time, are you going to see, especially the way that Jacob Fatu has been built up, are you going to be able to see a guy like LA Park come out there and just rattle off chair shots on Jacob Fatu? Jacob Fatu is going to maybe take a chair shot, and then the second one's going to come at him, and then he's going to fuck you up. So,
I mean, maybe if you did it like Fatu had his back turned, bell rang, Park whacks him with a chair on the back, maybe two in the head, and then Fatu gets a super kick into the chair to sort of slow it down. Maybe that sort of thing. But I mean, try and work it in because a fast start like that, I think would have really popped the crowd sooner and just maybe got LA Park over as, oh fuck, maybe he will actually do it. It's like, look how serious he's taking it.
oh, I completely see what you're saying. And yeah, it would have gotten the crowd. I mean, early on, we knew that Jacob Fatu was going to win.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any question about it. And getting the crowd into it, even though they were super into it the entire time, would have helped out a lot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're still putting over Jacob Fatu as this unstoppable animal.
Yeah, and we saw that throughout the match because this got brutal fast. Park broke the ring bell over Fatu's head. It was obvious he was blading underneath the ring when Park was holding him under there for about 20 seconds. I think they were. Fatu's head was out of sight, but they just slugged it out. Weight belt shots, Fatu springboard rotation moonsault, that spaceman plancher he did. Again, another move I totally did not see coming.
Oh yeah, a big old dude like that still being able to do that.
So he flew like Rey Mysterio over that top rope. I absolutely loved it. Loved it. I can't tell you how much. It was just like I looked up from writing my notes and I thought, fuck me, he's in midair.
No, I mean, like we were saying before, LA Park, he can still move. He can still get those moves down. He can still go at it.
And you know what? I'm glad he can, because as much as LA Park go for the World Heavyweight Championship probably isn't like the main event you'd choose to see on the first ever pay-per-view. It's like he really put in a shift here, and he didn't phone it in like many other legends might have done.
Oh, he never phones it in. He always goes full stop. If you watch pretty much any of his matches on MLW,
Yeah.
I don't see him phoning it in.
That's nice to hear, because like, a lot of legends would take a paycheck and just do the bare minimum. But the fact that he's still going strong after all these years, like credit to him for that.
Oh
Then,
yeah, he gives the fans what they want to see. A lot of the fans go out there to see him, and he doesn't stop. He just pulls it all out.
see, now I've got to go back and watch more LA Park matches after that. Thank you.
Hey,
I'm never going to be.
wait until we start seeing Hammerstone matches.
I can't wait to see some like Hammerstone and Dynasty matches, because you've talked so much about them in a positive light that I hope they're on Kings of Colosseum somewhere if we get to review that next week.
Trying to remember if they are. I think that's when Hammerstone won the open weight championship. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's where he won it.
Well, I hope we get to see it next week, because I'm pumped for an actual like proper 2.5 3 hour pay-per-view. As for the end of this match, TJ, it was, I'm not going to say sloppy, but there were a few timing issues. For anyone that hasn't seen it, La Park dodges a moonsault from Jacob Fatu, covers him. Joseph Samael in the ring, fireball in the referee's face. Selena gets in. Oh, she slaps Joseph Samael, and then he moves, I think, too quickly, because a few seconds later you just see LA Park diving into shot, and he spears Selena through a table, which was obviously meant for Joseph Samael. It was a good spot. She took it well. It was just the timing issue for me. And obviously after that, Jacob Fatu, super kick, Samoan drop, moonsault for the victory. What did you think about the finale to this match?
Well, LA Park is like covered in blood. He can't see what's going on. And he just kind of senses Joseph Samael there. And he goes at him. And Joseph Samael could have moved like 2 minutes beforehand, and he's still going to accidentally spear Selena.
Yeah.
As a stark difference between what we talked about before the show started.
Now you've made that excuse for him, I'll give him a pass for the the timing botch. Overall, what do you think of the match?
I thought it was a great match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I remember, the pay-per-view was only $10. I remember getting it and was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to watch this whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole pay-per-view was great. This match was great. Like we talked about last week with War Chamber not being that awesome, and not even that match before that being that awesome. There's a lot of hits and misses with MLW, but for a Saturday Night Superfight, it was, for me as a total, it was all hits, very few misses.
I couldn't agree more. I thought this was a terrific match, and I know we say it, every time we talk about Jacob Fatu, but I don't think, at least I can't bring to mind, since I saw Pete Dunne, have I watched a wrestler who I believed in so much and who I felt had so much star power, even though I've only seen him like a few times.
And you know what? I'm glad after, what we reviewed last week, which was your first MLW, that your the second one could be this match, because I really was hoping that this could be your second match, just to show how good MLW can be.
It showed it in buckets and the spades, because I am on the MLW bandwagon now. I'm gonna take my time to get through it all. But next week, TJ, is it on YouTube? Did you look? Are we going to Kings of Colosseum next week?
All right, Kings of Colosseum. There is a 1 hour Kings of Colosseum show. I don't know if it is the exact one we're looking for. It's probably not.
Well, if it's a Kings of Colosseum show, let's do it. If it's a highlight show followed by the main event in its entirety, then that's good enough for me, because I want to see Fatu win the title. I just want to see more Jacob Fatu. So
I will find the match where Jacob Fatu wins the title, and I'll find out what Fusion or whatever it's on.
Excellent, my friend. Thank you very much for joining me. I've had a blast once again.
So have I. I've enjoyed it.
So next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will be reviewing, fingers crossed, Kings of Colosseum, if it's the entire show. If not, keep an eye on our Twitters and we will let you know what is to come. Once again, TJ, where can they find you on social media?
I'm at lawmans_ on the Twitter.
There you go, and you can find me on Twitter at The Perfect Tenant. Log on to unionsmack.bigcartel.com, where you can purchase an official shirt from all of Travis's shows, and of course completelynovel.com, where you can purchase a copy of my first book, The Undertaker: A Trip Down Death Valley. Thank you once again, TJ. It's been a pleasure. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you on a Major League podcast of their own next week. Thank you very much, everyone. Good night to you all.